Let's go to Deuteronomy. See if we can get out of this. Let's go to Deuteronomy, chapter 29. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse, what we want out of this? Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 18. Least there should be among you men or women or family or tribe whose heart turneth away this day from the Lord our power to go and serve the gods of these nations. Least there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood. So the Lord is saying, look, watch out for that right there. Watch out for letting this world in this condition that you're in cause you to fall into these different belief systems that's of the world. Watch out. Watch out for it, right? Don't get caught up in it, because that right there will cause you to lose your heritage, okay? In the final day of judgment. Being caught up in these different belief systems, right? And not embracing your heritage, because these belief systems, over them, carry idol gods. And in these different belief systems, got idol gods, and that will piss the Heavenly Father and His Son off, because the Heavenly Father is a jealous power, okay? That is one of the reasons why we got, as a nation of people, our ass tore up, because we was worshiping idols. And that's spiritual fornication, okay? When you do that, you're basically committing adultery as a people when you're worshiping idols and in these different belief systems on the earth. Your heritage is within this Bible, and you are an Israelite. You Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. And when you forsake that, you're pissing the Heavenly Father off, and He look at you like an adulterous woman that needs to be put to death when you and all these belief systems outside of being an Israelite. Okay? So be careful. Be careful. This is Deuteronomy 29 and 18. It says, least there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turneth away this day from the Lord our power, YAHAWASHI, to go and serve gods of these nations. Least there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood, right? So you do not want to be caught up in there, right? Forsaking the Heavenly Father and His Son, right? So matter of fact, let's see what we can get in a different translation in Deuteronomy, right? Deuteronomy 28 and 19. I mean, sluggish Bible. Deuteronomy 29 and 18.
Deuteronomy chapter 29.
Alright. This is Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 18, the New International Version. It says, make sure there is no man or woman, clan or tribe among you today whose heart turns away from the Lord our power to go and to worship the gods of those nations. Make sure there is no root among you that produces such bitter poison. Okay? Because of the conditions on the earth, you think that the grass is greener on the other side by joining these belief systems, okay? And thinking you're gonna get more political benefits, okay? You think you're gonna get more status in this society, more money, but guess what that is? Temporary comfort, because Esau, Edom kingdom is gonna be destroyed, okay? Just like he wanted instant comfort concerning their food and wasn't thinking about the future. Same way you Negro Latinos and Native Americans are doing when you're in these different belief systems. It's a temporary comfort, the goodies that you get, but you ain't thinking about the future concerning the judgment that's coming. So beware of that, right? Beware. It's a New Living Translation. I am making this covenant with you so that no one among you, no man, no woman, clan or tribe will turn away from the Lord our power to worship these gods of other nations, and so that no root among you bears bitter and poisonous fruit, because we the ones that got the birthright. We the ones that gonna inherit, the earth. And we the ones that the bloodline of the Messiah, who is YAHAWASHI, came out of. And we are the spiritual leaders who gonna serve YAHAWASHI, not Esau Edom. Right? Amplified Bible. So that there will not be among you a man or woman or family or tribe whose heart, meaning your mind, turns away today from the Lord our power to go and serve these false gods and all these different belief systems of these nations, so that there will not be among you a root of idolatry, bearing poisonous fruit and wormwood, bitterness. Okay? Let's jump. Let's go to Genesis. Right? Let's jump and let's go to Genesis. See what we can get out of this. Let's go to Genesis, what I want out of this. Let's go to Genesis 27, 2 pages over, 25, right? Genesis chapter 25. So let's go to Genesis 27 and see what we can get out of this, right? This is Genesis chapter 27, verse, I started, let's see here, what I want. 28. It's Genesis chapter 27, verse 28. Therefore, the power gave thee of the dew of the heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine, right? So now this is the blessing of Jacob, right? So let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee, be lords over thee, be lords over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be that blesseth thee. So, that's the blessing of Jacob, right? That's the blessing of Jacob. Now, what I want to do is jump, right, to verse 41, and here we go. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, because Isaac was going to go to the spirit world. In other words, he was going to die. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So Esau, Edom, right, sold his birthright, right? when you read Genesis 25th chapter. Now here it is, Jacob disguised himself as Esau because Isaac was blind. And Jacob got this blessing, which we was reading about in verse 28, right? In verse 29, right? And in verse 41, Esau said, look, you know, he got that blessing too. I'm finna kill him. I'm finna kill Jacob. Okay? But his mother heard what Esau was saying, the plot, and sent Jacob off. Okay? When you read the story. And Esau's blessing was the sword. So he was going to have to live by the sword, which is his blessing, which he got from Isaac. He was going to have to live by the sword to sustain himself in the earth. Okay? In order for him to get the fatness of the earth. So Esau, Edom, was going to have to sustain himself, right? By the sword, which he's doing that to this day. That's why when you watch the news concerning these Edomites, whenever they want to take something, they always use their weaponry. It's hardly over negotiation. They always want to use their weapons to bomb people and make them submit and take their resources. In 2026, it's still going on, but what's happening is they run into roadblocks. Okay? They run into brick walls concerning Iran because judgment of the nation of Edom is right around the corner. Okay? It's coming. Okay? All we need the devil to do is push this chip, okay, on the mass of the people and checkmate. Okay? Checkmate. The Heavenly Father and His Son got him. Okay? So that's what's happening. But Esau, going back to Genesis chapter 27, verse 41, Esau wanted to kill Jacob. Now, what I want to do is let's go to Google, right? Let's go to Google. Let's see what Google got to say. See if we can word this to where, see if we can word this, right? And see what Google say. In Genesis, the 27th chapter, what was the primary blessing of Jacob?
In Genesis chapter 27, Isaac blessed Jacob, giving him dominance over his brother, material wealth, and the continuation of Abraham's covenant.
And the continuation of Abraham's covenant. Meaning, out of Jacob's line, okay, the Messiah was going to come, right? And Jacob was the one that was going to be the spiritual leader, right? And all Esau's descendants was going to end up bowing down to Jacob and these other nations. Okay? That's what was going to happen. Okay? Let's see something here. In Genesis, the 27th chapter, when it's concerning Jacob, blessed is the ones that bless him and curse is the ones that curse him. When did that take place?
The blessing and curse in Genesis chapter 27 happened when Isaac in his tent made that statement. Jacob, with his mother's help, tricked his father into giving him the blessing.
Alright, so what I want to say is in Genesis, the 27th chapter, blessing and cursings with Jacob, when is that going to end or when is that taking place?
The events in Genesis chapter 27, where Jacob receives the blessing and Esau a lesser one, happened around 1816
No.
to 17.
That's not what I want. See? In Genesis 27, when Isaac said, blessed be the ones that bless Jacob and cursed be the ones that curse Jacob, when did that end?
Isaac's blessing and curse in Genesis chapter 27 meant for Jacob and his descendants, is considered a theological promise that has not ended. It established the path of the Abrahamic covenant, eventually impacting the world through Jesus Christ.
So, you see, so that covenant, right, concerning that had ended, right? And the ones who blessed Jacob will be blessed, meaning the Negro Latinos and Native Americans. But the ones who cursed Jacob, meaning the Negro Latinos and Native Americans, gonna be cursed, okay? Concerning the judgment, you're gonna be judged, man. It's gonna be a devastating destruction onto you, nation, for cursing the Negro Latinos and Native Americans while they was on earth in the conditions that they was in. You never blessed them, all right? You was always enemies against the Negro Latinos and Native Americans. All you gotta do is read Psalms 83, all right? These nations was enemies to us, okay? And in the final judgment, okay, when YAHAWASHI show up, you're gonna be judged, and in the kingdom of heaven, you're gonna be judged because you never blessed us as a nation of people, okay? You never blessed us. You was always enemies against us, right? So, let me see something here. Let me look at something. I want to see something too. I want to add Google this. Let me see where it's at first. Let me say this to Google in verse 29. Let me see something. In Genesis chapter 27, verse 29, cursed be the people who harm Jacob, and blessed be the people who don't harm Jacob. When did that end? Oh, it's not coming up. In Genesis chapter 27, verse 29, when did the blessing and the cursings end for the nations of the people?
In Genesis chapter 27, verse 29, the blessing means nations will serve Jacob, and those who curse him will be cursed. This isn't a one-time event, but a promise fulfilled gradually through history, starting with Israel's
See, it went off.
dominance, and ultimately through Jesus Christ.
Woo! What is it again? Let me.
In Genesis chapter 27, verse 29, the blessing means nations will serve Jacob, and those who curse him will be cursed. This isn't a one-time event, but a promise fulfilled gradually through history, starting with Israel's dominance, and ultimately through Jesus Christ.
Hey, man. Hey, man. So, you people, right? You nations on this earth that didn't bless us, but cursed us, just put it in a layman term. That's your ass when the Lord come back. You know, reading these scriptures, when the Lord come back, that's your ass, man. You know, that's just what it is. What you have done to the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans on this earth, you nations that didn't bless Jacob, which is the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, but cursed Jacob, that's your ass when the Lord come back. Just putting it in layman's terms. That's your ass. You done. Okay? You done. So, let's go. Let's jump. Right? Let's jump. Let's go to Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 35. Right? So you got to remember, in verse 41, in Genesis chapter 27, verse 41, Esau, Edom, had that hatred toward Jacob because of the blessing, so he wanted to put Jacob to death. But when you read the story, his mother sent him out so he couldn't get put to death because she heard the plot, what Esau, Edom was about to do. So let's go to Genesis chapter, like Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So, during the time of the Babylonians, right, when the Heavenly Father was judging us, Esau, Edom helped, right, the Babylonians by turning us over, men and women, children, turning us over to the Babylonians. And Esau, Edom was the one that destroyed the first temple, right? And he was the one that, when you read in the New Testament, destroyed the second temple. It was the Romans. Now, the third temple is the Negro Latinos and Native Americans, right? Coming back to YAHAWASHI. And Esau, Edom is trying to, on the left-hand side, be a spiritual leader, right? On the left-hand side, trying to get back their birthright and trying to destroy the third temple, which is the Negro Latinos and Native Americans, and elect out of them by trying to put a chip in them to where they would serve Esau, Edom forever, and trying to alter our blessing, Jacob's blessing, the Negro Latinos and Native Americans blessing. He's trying to alter it by putting a chip in you Negro Latinos and Native Americans and have you serving him through technology as a slave, okay? That's why they want to go to the fourth industrial revolution, so they can try to get back the birthright and have you Negro Latinos and Native Americans bowing down to him and serving him forever. And he carry on concerning all the natural resources and calling himself being a spiritual leader as if the birthright was not given to Jacob. That's the devil's plan. Okay? That's the devil's plan. That's Esau Edom plan. And he know, right, that he's finished as a nation of people. They know this history. Okay? That's why they try so hard to make sure they pay people to come against what the men of the Lord are teaching on these streets. Okay? The one that's sincere. That's why they pay people to come against what we're teaching, thinking that that's going to have an effect and that's going to alter them going in slavery and losing, right? And end up being destroyed forever. They think that that temporary opposition that they set up using money and falsehood, they think that that's going to have an effect on the elect of the nation of Israel getting delivered, which is stupid. But that's Esau Edom attributes. That's his characteristic. He like temporary satisfaction. He always been like that. Okay? He like temporary satisfaction, thinking that temporary satisfaction is going to last forever. Nope.